Hey everybody, it's Cauliflower Man here, bringing you a Helix build of Rath on the game Battleborn. Rath is one of my favorite characters, but he's also one of the weakest characters, so you really need to know what you're doing. So if you want to play Rath, I would recommend watching this Helix build video, and also looking at some of my gameplay, just because he's very hard to get right, and if you play him wrong, you're just gonna get yourself killed all day. And I know, like, just look at him, he's one of the main characters on the main page, so you just think, I want to play this guy, and you get in there and you start playing him, and then you just get crushed, and then you want to quit. So really pay attention on this one. The first thing you got to remember is on the left side of the page here, it says he's an agile assassin and he's an easy character. These are all kind of wrong. Rath used to be an agile assassin and easy, but they made him a lot weaker. So now, if you look at a character like Deande has a stealth move. She can activate stealth. She also can jump about 4 times as high as Rath, so she's more of an assassin. She's more agile, and Deande also does more damage per second than Rath. So in all areas, and I think Deande also has more health and shields. So in all areas, Deande is better than Rath. She has more lifesteal too if you include her skills. So they really screwed up when they nerfed Rath, and he needs a lot more health. But I'll just talk about how to use him, because he actually does have a lot of offensive capability. But the way you want to play him is almost like a predator. Basically, you want to think you're like a lion in the Sahara, and you're basically watching the enemy gazelles, I guess you'd call them, the enemy Battleborn, and when any gazelle strays from the pack, you got to go in there and kill them, because you have a lot of slowing effects, you have a lot of stunning effects, and that's how you have to play him. So let's look in at his skills here. Your passive is Genetic Siphon. You steal 8% of the damage from melee attacks, and you put that back as health, and 10% of the damage from all skills. Later on, I like to level him up so that you get 30% from all of his melee attacks. And generally, I just try and steal health from minions or things like that. You don't really steal a huge amount of health, it just kind of delays your death, which is nice. But if you want to, and if you use it in combination with somebody's stun, you can actually heal a lot from an enemy minion wave. Like, let's say if a Caldarius stuns an enemy minion wave, then you can attack them without being attacked back, and you can heal yourself all the way back up. Now if you look at his 2 swords here, Axiom and Praxis, you can attack with his swords with his normal melee attack, which is a very fast attack. It doesn't do a lot of damage per attack or per swing of his sword, but it's pretty quick, so you do decent damage per second. And then his secondary attack is got a little bit of area of effect. You throw his sword out in front of him and pull it back to you, almost like a little mini lightsaber toss, like a Jedi lightsaber throw. But you don't throw it very far, so there's not much range on it, but it does do decent damage. And then I guess it's got his random bullshit about his armor that says basically nothing important. His armor is light enough to make him speedy, but it's sturdy enough to absorb plenty of damage. Okay, well, it doesn't have any effect in game, but thanks for that cool paragraph there, Gearbox. But next is his crossblade. This crossblade does 200 base damage at level 1, which is a lot. And once you're high level, you'll basically be able to do like 400 damage, because you'll do the crossblade forward, and then it'll come back towards you and do half the damage, and you'll actually do a lot of damage, so it'll be good for killing blows. You'll also get a slow on it, so it'll be great for any time an enemy turns around to run away. You crossblade them to do damage, and then you slow them so they can't get away from your melee attacks. Below his crossblade is his Catalytic Smash. This knocks enemies up into the air, and it basically is to sort of stun them for a second and make them easy targets. You'll also get a silence on them, or on this, so later on they won't be able to use any skills afterwards, so it's a good way of basically singling them out and stunning them and just being like, you can't get away. A lot of times you'll use a Catalytic Smash, silence them, and then body block them so that they can't run away and they can't use skills to get away, so they're kind of stuck for a second. And then finally below his Catalytic Smash is his Dreadwind. That's his ultimate. He swings his swords around in a large circular motion, and it does a lot of damage, but it also makes him quite a bit vulnerable. But later on you'll be able to put an overshield on it. But like I said, it does a lot of damage, but it kind of makes him vulnerable, so you'll have to make sure to use this in smart situations. Alright, so now let's switch over and look at Rath Helix here. Level 1, And with Rath, because he's such a bad character, there's really only one way to do him, and I'll just take you through it real quick. Level 1, you go to the left, get the slow. That's necessary because the slow becomes your killing move. When they turn around to run, you use crossblade to do damage, and then with the slow, they can't run away, so they won't be fast enough to get away from your melee attacks, and that's how you'll kill them. The catalytic smash you'll use before, that'll be an earlier move, and to set up your crossblade. That's how you use it, but you need the slow on the crossblade, otherwise you can't do it. Level 2, you have the crossblade, you go to the right and have the crossblade return to yourself. The reason being you don't put the shield recharge on it because with Rath, you use crossblade as a finishing move so you don't do shield damage, and then the shield penetrates, same reason. You use crossblade as a finishing move so they don't have shield, so you go to the right. Level 3, a lot of people like to use the double jump here, but the double jump really isn't any good. I really wish Gearbox would make the double jump just like Rath has that generally, and then you can get him a triple jump, because the double jump doesn't allow him to get up any good jumps anywhere useful. He needs to be able to make it, like, say, on monuments from below the staircase to jump up to the top of the staircase without having to walk up the stairs at all. Otherwise, he's not a very agile character. If they would do something like that to him and give him like 200 extra health, that would make him actually a usable character, but right now he's really not, and the main reason is this double jump does nothing. The reason being is when you double jump, it's easier for enemies to attack you because your arms are at the top part of your body, so you have to swing down at people, which isn't a terrible thing. The problem is that it just makes it so that you really need the melee combo to fire twice. And now a lot of people are going to say, but the firing twice doesn't increase your damage per second. No, it doesn't, but later on you put a slow on the finishing melee combo, and so I think it's the finishing melee combo is 1 out of 4 attacks right now. So if you don't go to the right here, you'll get 1 out of 4 attacks to slow, but if you go to the right here, you'll get 2 out of 5 attacks, because the melee attack combo will fire twice at the end, so you'll get 2 combo finishers out of 5 total attacks. Like I said, Gearbox really needs to make Rath have this double jump just on its own. That'll make him a dynamic character, because it is sort of useful, but it's not useful if you pair it against this double combo spin for his level 3 upgrade. Then level 4 you're going to use his silence. This silence is huge just because then it means any enemy you attack, they can't use any skills. So if you body block them, they're silenced, they can't get through you, and they can't use a skill to get around you or damage you, really. So it really makes it hard for any enemy that you smash to get away or survive. Level 5, this next one you can kind of choose any one that you want. They're all pretty good. If you increase the skill lifesteal, you can use his crossblade on minion waves and get a full heal up. If you go for the center one, that's usually the one that I use, you get 30% lifesteal on all of his you get 30% lifesteal on all of his melee attacks, and so that's a huge amount of lifesteal. 30% is massive. And then if you just start using the secondary attack on minion waves, you can easily heal 100 to 200 per secondary attack that you use. I don't like to do just the 11% base increase on melee strikes. I mean, it's still pretty good. That makes it 19% total lifesteal on melee strikes and 12% on skills, but I usually go either left or center. I like to use center, but that's just me. Like I said, this one's a toss-up. If we continue on and we look at level 6 here, level 6, this one, I always go for the slow in the center. This is another one that it irritates me. They've got all of Rath's good level ups together. This one's a toss-up. If they would split these out in kind of different areas, they could make Rath an actual usable character, but right now he's just not. The reason you need the slow is because then that makes it so enemies can't get away. If you have extra damage, enemies will be able to get away from you, so you won't be able to finish them off. And then if you go to the left and get the extra movement speed, you don't have enough offensive capability to really finish anybody out and to really get those kills. If you put the slow on it, anyone you engage will not be able to disengage until either you or they are dead, and so then that's what makes Rath a very dangerous character, because once you hit this level, when you engage someone, it's either you or them every time. And like I said, the other two options are good here, but I feel like if you really want to put Rath over the top, you need to get the slow on his finishing melee combo, and then you also need to get the melee combo to fire twice. So that gives you slow on 40% of his attacks, which is huge. That's just because, like I said, you play Rath like a predator. When an enemy leaves their team, when they get away from the pack, you pounce, and then you make it so that they can't get back. You slow them with your primary attacks, and then you catalytic smash them when they're almost, or when they start to get a little bit weak, about 3/4 to half health. Then they're silenced, they can't get away, they can't do anything, and you can finish them off with your melee attacks and your crossblade. If you look at level 8, this one I usually go to the right just because crossblade has a very long range already, and doubling the range, I don't know what that'll get you. You can already shoot that thing so far, it's ridiculous. So the lower cooldown time is real good. Level 9, this is one that I wish they would put one of Rath's good level ups on, like one of the ones from level 7. Both of these aren't good. I usually go to the left just because you usually will follow catalytic smash with a crossblade, but both of these are kind of throwaways. And then level 10, this one I always go for the extra overshield because Rath is a character that gets killed very easily, so I always try and do whatever I can to make him so that he'll survive for longer. So like I said, that's the way I like to play Rath, and it's just unfortunate that some of these level ups don't get put together, and I really wish he had that double jump just as a regular level up, and then that one just kind of got thrown out of the cycle here, and they threw something else in there just as a throwaway. The single jump, Rath is not an agile character. His double jump doesn't allow him to get almost anywhere that other characters can't get to. You really need a triple jump. And if you think about it, Thorn, when you double the height of her jump, it's a similar sort of thing, but she also, you can level her up so that her melee attack lets her it hits her up into the air even farther, so she basically has a triple jump, and she's fast as crap, and when she's in the air she can shoot down at you, so she gets all the advantages Rath gets plus some extra, and because she's a ranged character it makes it more useful for her than for Rath. So this is just what I'm talking about when I say Rath's got some a lot of just inherent weaknesses in his character, and they could be sorted out pretty easily, but what are you going to do? They're not sorted out right now. So now if you look at Rath's gear, the gear setup I use, there's a couple different ways you can go. I just like to basically give him extra health. This is the basic health gear that I use for most of my characters. Just because he's very weak, he has almost no health. If you start to engage someone, usually you have to forfeit like 600 to 800 health on a lot of engagements if they know what they're doing, especially if they're ranged. And so with Rath, that gets you real weak, and he then afterwards also has to sprint out of there too, and he doesn't have anything to increase his speed, and the double jump really is not something to be used defensively. Like I said, it's very weak on its own. He really needs a triple jump, but that's just the way it is right now. Then the next thing I use for him is I increase his shield. This is another gear that I use for a lot of my classes. It's got the negative on the reload because Rath doesn't reload. And then anytime he kills a minion, it bumps his shield up another 100, so it's 240 after I've killed a minion. And you kill a lot of minions as Rath. That's where you get a lot of your damage done total, and that's where you'll try and get lifesteal in order to just heal yourself up little bits when the enemies aren't around. And then finally I just put that health regen on him just to keep him alive. Rath doesn't have much health, so a little bit of health regen goes a long ways. Just remember, do quick engagements with the enemy. When you get weak, just back out, run behind a corner, get your shield up, and then you can go back in again. Usually if you have a full shield, you can do enough damage with your lifesteal that you'll be able to heal like 300, 400 with every quick engagement. So if you do that right, you can heal yourself up a little bit even if you don't have a healer. But that's the type of gear I like to wear with Rath. Like I said, he's very weak, and it's very hard to actually play successfully with him. If you're going to play with him, I would try and get him with a healer like a Reyna or an Alani, who is a saver, someone who does quick healing in a burst. That'll helps to save him. Reyna's always good just because you get that overshield. But if you're going to play with Rath, you really have to think it out and try and play him with a good team. Otherwise, you might not have such a good time.